Go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Crone Chat, where we chat with different physical biz babes and just amazing crones, in the world that really just want to chat with you about issues that are really important to them, things that they've noticed with themselves that have worked. And today we're going to be talking with Devon Battaglia, which is super awesome. So thank you so much for hopping on. Yeah,
Thank
awesome.
you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Yay. So why don't you let us know a little bit about you and what you do and things that you've been working on?
Yay. Okay. So I love that question. What do you do? It always makes me laugh because I'm like the clients are the ones doing the work. I view myself as a catalyst, really, a mentor and a guide and a space holder. So I'm on a mission to really help the sensitive, empathic, intuitive, soul centered, heart centered woman really step into her power and to own and claim her gifts, and to do that through trusting her body, aligning with nature and seasonal living, leveraging her subtle energies instead of resenting them and fighting with them, and ultimately transmuting her trauma and her challenges and pain into gifts, because that's what they are.
That's super awesome. So what really drew you to starting that, like to helping other people, like making that your mission on training other intuitives and other magical women into trusting their body? Like, what got you started with that?
Oh, my life. My life from a young age until this point has been an epic journey of doing those things. In a nutshell, I grew up in a very, very dysfunctional household. I'm the daughter of an alcoholic, and I actually lost my mother to her drug and alcohol addiction a few years ago, September 2017, and we had a very trying relationship. And I always felt incredibly disconnected from my own femininity, my own spiral principle, I like to call femininity, because these spiral feminine energies are broken in our culture, and that can be said regardless of your gender identification or your physical anatomy. So I'm talking very energetic. And I had my own problems with addiction. Alcohol and I were BFFs until we weren't BFFs anymore. I had disordered eating, all kinds of things that really separated me from my own body. And I resented the hell out of my own sensitive and intuitive abilities. I would compare myself constantly. Why don't I have the same resiliency and stamina as other people? Why am I the weird ball? Why am I the black sheep? Why am I the one who's communicating with plants and other people think that that's crazy? So a lot of time fighting with that. And I've had a lot of physical health challenges because of that, especially those involving my female body. So with my hormones and my period, I've struggled with PCOS and amenorrhea and all these just annoying things. And the real big turning point for me was realizing that it's not the physical. We fixate so much on beating the physical into submission, right? Like for me, I'm overweight, so I would spend time just like beating the heck out of my body, or why aren't my hormones acting right? And I would just so fixate on the physical. And the big turning point for me was coming into the understanding that the subtle creates the gross. And that's kind of my clients tell me I need to tattoo it on my forehead, because it's these subtle building blocks of our unseen realms. So our emotions, our mind, our spiritual body, our energy that is creating and dictating the physical. So when you're having these physical challenges in your body or in your life, it's not that per se. That's just kind of the end product of something else that's happening. And when we're spending all of this time resisting it and running from it and beating ourselves up about it and really living in shame, that's my big thing is healing feminine shame. that's what happens. The physical is gonna start acting awry. And I was such a healing and alternative junkie for so long, and I've gone on to study and be certified in so many different modalities and bring my own intuition. I've got a master's degree in nutrition and integrative health and herbalism. So I bring all of these things to my people. And yeah, it's been a long, winding road, I'll say, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Oh, that's super cool. And then I know that's one thing I like to try to drive home for my clients and my students, is that it's your experiences from everywhere, all the things you've been in through in your life, whether those are traumas or breakthroughs or good things or whatever it is that you're doing. All of that contributes to your why and why you do things. And it contributes to the kind of person that you help the most, someone who's been in your shoes. So I find that really awesome that you have taken the things that have turned you into the person you are today, the good and the bad, and the people that you've loved and have like disgruntled relationships with, and just transfused it into something wonderful so you can help other individuals. So that's super amazing. So we kind of talked about a little bit why this is so important for you, because it feels like if you didn't do this, then it's like a double-handed thing. You wouldn't be able to help other people, and it wouldn't help you as much. Do you feel like that's why it's so important, or what do you think?
Well, certainly, yes, there's that. I find in helping others, it continues to help me have a richer and deeper experience of life, of myself, of my soul's calling and purpose. And I love that I also get to touch so many different people, and in that, so many different lineages. So I'm obviously working and healing my own ancestral line and all of the trauma therein, and all the people that I get to touch who are also awakening to that and realizing like, oh, I've got this like ancient elephant in the room that I haven't addressed, but it's certainly screwing things up in my family, and I want to do something differently. And for me to kind of be that space holder and that catalyst for them, to help them to heal their bodies and to process and to feel all of these things, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm touching all these other lineages too. And really, like I said, feminine shame, and again, I know feminine is such a loaded concept, feminine, masculine. So I really like to use spiral and triangle, because it helps us to get out of our own way and kind of have a clean slate, because it's like spiral energies, what's that? But really this impacts all of us, regardless of gender identification or anatomy. And all of these feminine principles are the ones that are very frowned upon in our society. Anything that is spirally and fluctuating and in flow, like the seasons, like the moon, like our emotions, are very just taboo. And so women, our very nature is more spirally than anyone else, right? So we're already just carrying this kind of inborn shame about ourselves, and then life happens and all the stuff that we carry into this life. And to me, that's the most important thing, because until that is really addressed, the planet's going to keep suffering. We're going to keep having this decline of physical and emotional health that we're seeing, and all of these crazy things that don't need to be happening in our culture. And so really normalizing flow and change and living seasonally in every regard, not just eating watermelon in the summer and squash in the winter. That's beautiful, but there's so much more to that, really tuning into those subtle, nuanced parts of ourselves. So I think that answered your question.
Yeah,
it's very very multi-layered to me.
That perfectly. Really love that concept of the spirals and the triangle. So I'm assuming that's one of the processes that you like to do that's kind of different from everybody else. I know I personally talk about, because I do that whole mother maiden crone aspect when it comes to those who are more masculine minded. I'm more like, okay, so this would be our gentlemen, our fathers, and our sages. Wherever you choose to fit in, this is where you go. So can you elaborate a little more on other processes that you might use, or other step-by-step practices that you use?
I don't know if there's anything that's necessarily step by step, because everybody is, I meet them where they are, and everyone is at such different places of their journey, and something that resonates with you, a practice that resonates with you, may not resonate with somebody else. So it's a very intuitive thing. I use a lot of plant spirit medicine, flower essences. I use a lot of energy healing, guided imagery, shamanic journeying, seasonal living practices, expressive arts therapy, and somatic experiencing movement, really feeling emotions and experiences in our bodies. Because a lot of us, and especially the ones that have been through the tough times, and the more sensitive, intuitive, empath people, we're in a kind of a state of fight or flight because our nervous systems are always so primed, and we're kind of, you know, in that space. So we're existing from the neck up. So our body kind of goes offline, and we're just not paying attention. So practices that get us back in, and really trusting and feeling like this ancient wisdom that's in here. I mean, your body's made of like stardust and soil and ocean. Any answer you could ever need is here. So guiding us back here. Yeah, it's really just based around my 4 pillars of body trust and nature living, seasonal living, aligning with your and respecting your subtle energies, and getting to a point of transmuting your challenges into gifts. So that can look like, how do you want to most offer yourself and be seen in the world and serve, from not letting your wounds run your life, and coming out of that place of victim and this is happening to me, and taking your power back, and using the very things that you've been resisting and resenting as the fuel and the gifts for that endeavor. So
awesome. That's really cool. And it's so very true. It's like, if we can find a way to accept what's within us and understand that all of the tiny little molecules and little atoms that just make up what we are, we're a part of something bigger and are a part of something bigger. It's just our perception of things is that our skin is solid and that the table is solid, but in reality it's just a bunch of little tiny things just compressed together to create something new. So that's really, really true. So how has actually first, it's like, do you feel like introducing that concept of understanding that you are a part of an ancient being, or that you are an ancient being, have all of this information within yourselves to find the answers, really helps you heal others in a different way, or really helps you stand out? Or what do you think it is, if it's not specifically that?
I think it is that, honestly. I think creating the space for other people to realize that they are their own best healer. There's nothing outside of them. There's nobody that can just like wave a magic wand and make it all perfect. I mean, stuff can happen very quickly when you're open and ready, and you want to move forward, and you're ready to release a certain way of being or a pattern. I mean, stuff can happen quickly for you. But I think for so many healers and also seekers out there on both sides, there's a misconception that the healer is the one doing the healing, and the seeker is looking for something outside of themselves, and is therefore relinquishing their own ability and their own power to an external source. They're diverting their own inner authority outside. And I really love to see people come into that understanding of, oh yeah, I'm actually really freaking powerful, and I have everything I need. So guiding them to that place, and teaching them to fish, really giving them the resources and the tools. I mean, I think another thing that sets me apart is just the like breadth and depth of wisdom and knowledge that I'm bringing. So there's a little bit of something for everyone to walk away with, and have a beautiful medicine bag of resources that work for them, that they can continue to expand upon and grow with and change with, equipping them with energy practices, yeah, and then ultimately leading them to what works with you. You know your energy. Like, get into it, befriend it, and strengthen your intuition. You don't need to follow a protocol or set a set thing of something to do. I'm really all about empowering others to realize that they already have that. They don't need another protocol or another thing. And sometimes that can feel scary for me to say. And I've even had people be like, well, if I don't need anything, then why do I need you? Why would I ever hire anybody else? If there's nothing outside of me, then why should I hire you to help me? And I'm like, well, because you don't necessarily believe that right now. You don't believe that there's nothing outside of you. So having somebody to hold that space and really listen, and that shame piece is really the biggest block that I see. And after so much of my own work and being with clients, I think that is truly the biggest root of challenge and dysfunction and dis-ease that we experience, is some flavor of shame and the there's something wrong with me story. So holding that space for people to just let that down, let those old painful things out, and then get to the fun stuff, get to the recreation of their lives in the way that they want them to be.
So have your dinner before you can have your dessert, pretty much.
Or maybe it needs to be the other way. Maybe, you've been having too much dinner. It's time for some dessert.
Exactly. I know that was something my grandmother used to say, is like, if dinner don't look good, skip to dessert. So that definitely works. So because I'm very big on teachers really walking their talk, the things that they give other people to work on, they have done. So what are some things that you have done yourself that you give your clients to do that has helped transform your life? I know that it probably has been finding that balance within yourself and understanding the triangles versus the spirals, but what else have you done that you felt like has been really transformational, and that's why you've given it to your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I would never ask or suggest somebody do something that I haven't done. So everything that I bring is a part of my practice today, or was at one point. It's all been part of me. Seasonal living and aligning with nature is like non-negotiable for me. Daily ritual and meditation and my own embodiment and movement practices, non-negotiable. My own intuitive energy healing practices, working with plant spirit medicine and flower essences. I did that before we hopped on our call today to kind of ground me, and maybe having a little jitters, I won't lie, so to help me with that. Dance, love, laughter, all of these things. Also having outside support myself. I've done a lot of work with others and with other healers and coaches, and that's truly invaluable in my experience. To have somebody hold that space for you is crucial.
Totally get that. And I feel the exact same way. If we want to hold space for others, we have to practice being held in a space with someone else and being able to talk to them. It's like it goes with the platinum rule: treat others how they want to be treated. We need to learn to emulate that on how do we want to be treated. Well, let's go and figure that out. So that's super great. So
absolutely,
what are some things today that if anybody were to walk away from this that they need to know, like anybody listening, anybody watching, if they don't absorb anything else we've talked about, what do they need to know to start transforming themselves and finding that balance?
I think the first thing would be, nothing's wrong with you and you don't need to be fixed. I hear that so much. I need to be fixed. I need to fix this. There's nothing wrong with you and you don't need to be fixed. Your shadows are your gifts. They're not something to cut away or to bypass. They're pieces of you, and all pieces of you are necessary and welcome and can be integrated for a life more nourishing than you could like possibly imagine. Your ability to be with your grief and your trauma. So the depth to which you can feel that is your capacity to hold joy in the exact same intensity and depth. Does that make sense? So that same depth and intensity of grief that you can be with is your capacity to also be able to hold the flip side of that, which is like joy and beauty. So all of it's there. There's nothing wrong with you. The second thing I think I would invite you to hold is that the subtle is creating the gross always. So stop fixating on the physical. Your physical body or your physical life. The challenges there are simply symptoms and messengers. So go backwards, reverse engineer into those subtle building blocks. What emotions are unprocessed, what really just kind of crappy mindset and beliefs are you holding on to that are allowing the gross of your life to be created in that way. And then the third thing I think would be to consider the 4 pillars I've shared and how they can show up in your life. And so that was trusting your body, living in alignment with nature and the seasons, leveraging and befriending your subtle energies instead of resenting them, and transmuting your challenges into gold. So there.
That's wonderful, because who doesn't want gold? Who doesn't want their ideal life to be glimmering like that? So just to reiterate then, so first off, we don't need to be fixed. You're perfect the way you are. It's more like play to your strengths than anything else. Second one, the subtle is creating the gross. The tiny things are what make up the whole. And then the third one, consider the 4 pillars that you've talked about this entire time. Awesome. That's really wonderful. So when you're not being a badass at these 4 pillars, as you do your hair, like, I'm a badass. What do you love doing? How do you spend your free time?
I was having a bad hair day today. I didn't think you'd notice that.
Oh, fabulous.
So in my free time, I stroke my hair.
That's okay.
No. I spend a lot of time outside. We've got 10 acres here. I live in the woods and do a lot of gardening. I play with my doggies. I snuggle my husband. I love making art. I've just recently started to play with clay, and I really enjoy painting and working with oil pastels and cooking. I love cooking. I'm always creating something in the kitchen, making different herbal blends. Yeah, really just exploring the trees and the woods, hanging out with the people that I love, and just taking it easy. Like I said, my early life was so chaotic, so now I'm enjoying simplicity and ease.
I love that. So, and all of it, just the energy in general, from everything that you've talked about today to even what you do in your own free time, it feels, just visually, the way that things pop into my own brain for my abilities, it just feels like you're running your hands through soil and just letting it dig into the earth. You're spreading your toes in the sand or in the soil and just letting it yogi toes down into it. So it just, the entire vibe for you today, at first I'm like, are you water? You feel very watery. No, you're like forest nymph kind of into the ground kind of energy, and I adore it so much.
Yes!
It's fabulous, which makes me happy because, like, I look out my window at Pikes Peak every day because that's how close I am to the mountain. So it's, yay, mountain folk. We're just all dug into the earth. This was really fabulous. So where can, if people are interested in learning more about your 4 pillars and the way that you like to do healings, where could they go ahead and find out more about you? Which all of this, by the way, will be in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this. But where could we go ahead and connect with you?
Yeah, so come on over to my website, innerspark.life, INNER spark.life, and come play with me and stalk me on social media. I spend a lot of time on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, I'm at InnerSparkLife. Same thing on Facebook. I've got a group on there. Come be my friend. I'm Devon Battaglia. And I offer little mini sessions, couple complimentary ones every week. So if you're interested in connecting and learning more about each other, come hop on one of those. And yeah, I've got a couple of new little offerings that are also on the website, some monthly classes, little spring living course coming up. So come play with me. Come, let's connect and learn with each other.
Oh, that's wonderful. So now we have some great places that if you choose to build a relationship with Devon, now you can go ahead and connect with her. So this is awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would like to part us with? If not, I really love chatting with you today. It's been ridiculously fun.
It has been so much fun. I know we could just keep going with our mountain people and forest. I think really just trust yourself. Trust yourself. That's what's coming to me right now. Is so that needs to be said. Trust yourself, trust your steps, and yeah, drop the shame and the resentment and love yourself.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. Yay. Well, I hope everyone has a fantabulous day. And like I said, if you want to learn more about Devon Battaglia, go ahead and look below in the description and connect with her. Go build a relationship with her if you really loved what she's been talking about today. And we shall see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.